Did you just get out of bed or what?
Yeah, the excitement's overflowing this morning.
Isn't Carpenter at your house?
Well, he's yeah, we're going to do some hitting, but we were up late last night at the Oklahoma State TCU game. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, so he's probably gloating about that. But yeah, I mean, I had a busy day yesterday. I was a little tired this morning, so I had to get up though for the show.
Have you hit with him already?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so that's what we're looking like. Carpenter is back.
He's back, baby.
He's 38. He's back. He's going to be a leadership guy and have a role off the bench. He rediscovered it in New York. Last year, not so much, but he's working on changing his swing a little bit. So, Matt Holliday, you are a hitting guru. Tell us.
Whoa, he doesn't like that word, remember?
Oh, yeah. Matt Holliday, you are a great guest on Hot Take Central and know something about hitting. How does Matt Carpenter look?
He looks good. We had a good session yesterday. We talked about a few things. It was good. Yesterday was really good. So I feel really, really good about yesterday. And first of all, I had a nice little lead-in by the lady voice that's new. Is that a digital AI thing?
That's actually Cole. He puts on a dress. And
Every now and again, I prepare for the show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, he looks good. He looks good. And, yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the Cardinals. And, I know that's, somewhere that he wanted to be. And I think, they've brought back some good leadership and some guys that understand what being a Cardinal and the winning culture. And so, yeah, I mean, look, he looks good, and we'll see what happens.
does he have to change the swing at this point in his career, or is it just fine-tuning things?
Well, it's not really a change in swing. He has this hip issue where he likes to lead his swing kind of with this early open high hip, which it affects his bat path a little bit, and it makes his swing a little bit slower because it disconnects his sequence. So we're just working on keeping his front side square and closed, and letting the swing work a little bit more back through the middle and a little less open and out and around. So, I mean, I could get technical even more so, but I doubt that anybody cares.
No,
we do.
We care. We just might not understand because we're dummies and we pretend to know a lot about baseball, but we don't. Yeah, that's what. So, on a personal note, Matt Carpenter is coming on a Zoom interview with me later today. So I'm hoping as his helper that you respect that parameter, that time frame, noon Central, is already spoken for.
I didn't know that. That's canceled. We actually have something going on. So you're going to have to.
Listen, he's got to do it because he committed.
Yes.
But I hope you make a cameo because it won't be fun unless you interrupt and somehow insult me.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm an expert at that.
Yeah, sure.
So, I didn't know. That'll be great.
Okay.
That'll be great.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Matt, obviously, and I'm not going to use the word guru, but it seems like you love to talk about hitting, and you got your kids, and you got major leaguers and all your friends coming over to hit with you. And I'm just thinking, John Mozeliak was talking about you have Yachty who's going to come every once in a while. He can be in the dugout here and there with these new rules. And I'm just thinking there's got to be a job. I know you didn't want the everyday, and everybody gets that with the bench coach, but just some type of roving instructor where you come once a month and you get to talk hitting and sit in the dugout. Wouldn't that be fun? I feel like that'd be a good gig. Just kind of a nice temporary, every once in a while deal.
Like a guru.
Like not a guru. Not a guru, though.
Well, I mean, look, I obviously love the organization and love to talk hitting and have enjoyed getting a chance to work with a lot of different hitters this offseason. And the problem I have really with time, with travel is that when I do have time to travel, a lot of times it's to watch, my kids play, and particularly the two older ones now that, Ethan's got high school and then his summer ball travels, and then you got Jackson, who potentially could be in the major leagues. And so any chance that I get to sort of go somewhere, it's more than likely going to be wanting to go and watch them do their thing. So it's tricky for me, Charlie. I do like the idea of being part of the Cardinals organization and trying to be a help, but at the same time, I do have, like I said, I have a lot of other things that I'd also like to do. So it's a tricky balance for me right now at this time in my life. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Jackson as far as if he's going to make the team out of spring training, or if he doesn't. If he gets called up, or just always having to kind of balance the time that I want to spend with my family and the time that it might be, away doing something like that. So I like I said, I do love the Cardinals, and obviously you guys know Ollie is one of my close friends, and Matt Carpenter is one of my close friends, and Mo and I have a good relationship, and so maybe at some point, I just don't know when. It's just like I said, it's a balancing act of my time right now.
So we know Carp is a great presence in the clubhouse. I'm just curious from your perspective as a guy who obviously is connected to the Cardinals, Hall of Famer, who I think at some point will be some sort of instructor when time permits, because family comes first for you right now. I get that. But were you surprised to hear that this was such an important need for the Cardinals in terms of leadership with all the guys that I know that they have on the ball club? Was that a little surprising to hear that?
I mean, I think that one of the things when you talk about building a team is when you talk about bench players and you talk about role players, a lot of times, I'm going to say these days, and sort of this analytical trend, the people that are looking at the analytics and the value, and they're placing, performance and value and money. They look at the bench player, they look at the role player, and they say, well, we have younger players maybe that could do these roles as a bench player and pay them less, and then signing a veteran. And I know in this case Matt's being paid mostly through the Padres. But I do think that when you talk about having role players and bench players, a guy like Matt and a guy like Skip and Nick Punto and Ryan Terrio, and going back to the days when we had our best team, and our World Series championship team, when veteran players know their role and they can come to the field and know that they're not everyday players, that they come to support the younger players and to support the players that are playing in front of them. And when they get their opportunity, they're ready because they know how to be ready. I think it's something that's been lost, and it's something that's been sort of, I guess, dismissed as important than having young players on your bench who, and it's not no fault of their own, are rooting for the opportunity to play every day, and subsequently sort of rooting against their teammates. And so I think it creates a culture that's not all that healthy when you have young players on the bench hoping that maybe the guy in front of them doesn't do so well so that they get a chance to be an everyday player and sort of fulfill their dreams of being an everyday player and making money enough to support their family. So I think that sort of bringing Carp and some of these veteran players that are still good enough to be playing in the major leagues, but understand that their role might be different later in their career, I think is valuable, and I think it always has been. And I think that sometimes when guys that are, like I said earlier, are just looking at numbers and well, he can provide this production at a cheaper price, I think you miss the idea of building a team and a culture that's healthy. And I think that Carp will do really well in that role.
There's a Jim Leland quote. I'm trying to find the exact quote, but he basically says, show me a losing team and I'll show you he said, horse bleep clubhouse. And I'm just wondering, because this leadership piece is now, it's a narrative, and we're talking about it. The Cardinals needed team leaders, and it was all on Goldie last year. And you bring on a Carpenter, and you bring on all these older veterans, Lance Lynn, guys that are going to help you pitching, but also veteran-type guys. I'm thinking, I always hear about bad clubhouses on bad teams, right? That's what we talk about when a team's losing. You tell me, have you ever been on a good team that still had a bad clubhouse, or is it natural, a media fan narrative that once a team is losing, we bring up stuff like that?
Well, I don't think that having a bunch of guys that like each other necessarily means that you're going to win. I think you still have to have talent. You still have to have guys that can go out and you still have to have guys that can go out and win and play well. But I do think when you have guys that are really pulling for each other and enjoy being around each other, it makes for an environment that's much more. Guys want to go to the field. They can't wait to get there. They can't wait to get to be around their teammates. They're pulling for each other. They're working with each other. They're talking to each other. They're hanging out away from the field. I think those kind of cultures do. They have a much better chance of having success on the field. If you have a bunch of different guys that are cliquey and guys that, these guys go this way and these guys go that way and these guys, there's guys that show up early and work their butt off, and then you got guys that show up late and sort of go through the motions, and there becomes resentment that this group thinks this group's not working very hard. It can get very toxic in a way that is almost impossible to win. So I don't think the clubhouse has to be perfect. I don't think that everybody has to be the best of friends to have a successful team. But I do think having a group of guys that are like-minded and are hardworking and push each other and enjoy each other's company away from the field and get together and really get to know each other, I think it does play out in a way on the field that does, I think, that can be very beneficial.
I agree with that, but because I've had this argument too in the past, chemistry is whatever works, right? So
Sure.
Accepting everything you said, you can think of examples like the Yankees when they went on their run with the Reggie Jacksons, Oakland. Those were teams that kind of like to fight each other and then go out and destroy people on the field. Now, they were loaded with talent too, but would you say it's that sometimes bad chemistry can be winning chemistry? Doesn't it boil down to whatever works?
Yeah, I mean, I think more than chemistry is you need a bunch of guys that are willing to post, that are willing to play hard, willing to work, that want to win. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think you have to be best friends and everybody is laughing and giggling. And I don't think it's that. I mean, I think it's more so the most important things is you have a bunch of guys that enjoy the work, that want to be there, that don't they don't have bad energy, they come to the field and ready to really get after it and then go out and compete and aren't afraid to play through being dinged up. I think that's probably way more important than how much you like each other, and I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about some of these older teams that you're talking about that clearly they didn't love each other, but they did love to compete and they did love to compete together. And so I think that's probably the most important thing is that that winning is number one, and doing everything they possibly can to put their piece into the formula that it takes to win. And so, there's too many examples of teams that seemingly were dysfunctional from a personal standpoint, but had talent and work ethic and were able to still be a winning team.
How cool was it to see your former teammate Todd Helton finally get into the Hall?
Yeah, it was great. You know, I was overdue. I mean, he was a great player. He was a Hall of Fame player. I don't understand, you know, the sometimes it takes a while. I mean, look, you know, getting into who votes and how they vote and why and what they, you know, to me it's very gray and very, you know, hard to figure out at times. But he's very deserving. He was a great player, and obviously I got a chance to play with him for a long time, and enjoyed that and learned a lot from him. And you know, like I said, I was super excited. I figured this would be his year. I thought last year he was going to get in, but when he didn't, I thought this year, you know, obviously had a great chance. So be really exciting to watch him go into the Hall of Fame.
And how about for you? You get 4 votes to the Baseball Hall of Fame. You obviously fall off the ballot, but are you able to look at that as, look, still 4 people thought that you were deserving for the Baseball Hall of Fame? I'm sure there's some disappointment. I don't know going in if you had any expectations. So when you saw that, what came to mind?
You know, I think the first thing was that you really appreciate people that do vote for you. You know, the fact that there was 4 people and I mean, that's pretty honoring that people think that you're worthy of their vote for the Hall of Fame. So I appreciate, you know, their votes. And you know, like I said earlier, I just don't know exactly, you know, it's such a wide range of people that get to vote. And you've got columnists and you've got, you know, people that don't really study the game and watch the game very closely. And then you have people that do, and you have people that take a lot of pride in their vote and really do the research. So it's such a wide range of people that vote, and then, you know, it's such a vague sort of, you know, there's such a vague I don't know, description of what a Hall of Famer is. And so you know, you see some guys, you know, that did get more than 5% and stayed on the ballot that you know, are, to me, I you know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, candidly, I thought I would get a few more votes. I thought I would make 5%, but there's been a lot of players that didn't get 5%, a lot of great players that you would think would and didn't. So, you know, like I said, I'm appreciative of the 4 that did vote for me, and you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of out of your control, and you just, you know, I'm grateful for the career I had. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that I did it the right way, and you know, I got a chance to really incorporate my family and my kids into my career, and got a chance to, you know, still have a really good relationship with my wife and kids here, you know, 5 years post-career, and so I'm proud of it.
The one to me, I know we're all kind of biased with guys we liked or followed. Growing up around Detroit, you know, a lot of people want Lou Whitaker to get in. But for Cardinals fans, and I don't think this is biased, to me, Jim Edmonds falling off so quickly, and I'm not saying he's a surefire Hall of Famer, but for Andruw Jones to keep climbing and Jimmy Ballgame falls off, and you look at their careers, they're essentially the same. I mean, you can make the case that Jim was better.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. There's been a lot of guys, honestly, that have fallen off in less than 1 year, and that I shake my head at. That I go, you know, why some people would vote for this. You know, I'm not going to get into names, but there's certain guys that got over 5% that I mean, I'm a pretty good self-evaluator that I felt like my career was better than that got more than 5%. So again, that goes back to, like, I don't know, Charlie, I don't know what the perfect system is. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe there's not even one that's even close. But, you know, I think the writers that you know, that really don't follow the game very closely, and I don't know how they assign votes, and maybe that's, you know, I'm not I don't know how they decide who gets those things, but there are plenty of candidates that you just talk, like, Jim not making the first ballot. I mean, that's not to say Andrew Jones isn't he's very deserving as well. And so I don't get it. I don't know how these things work. The guys that leave open spots, that have, there's 10 spots to vote for, and there's plenty of worthy candidates to offer your vote behind.
Yeah.
That leave open spots, that to me is a little bit, I think, frustrating and almost disrespectful to leave open spots on with deserving players on the ballot.
And then the guys who vote for someone in 2 straight ballots, and then the following year have open spots, and for some reason that guy is left off as if he's coming off a bad year or something changed. They voted for him 2 times. And then they only cast 3 votes, and not for the guy they already voted for. How bizarre! They should rate the Raiders to see who gets to come back as a Hall of Fame voter. I don't know, but I think Jimmy Edmonds belongs in the Hall of Fame. But I know you got to go. I'm just curious. With Matt Carpenter, I know you got, a 3-bedroom, so it's a little tight. Is he sleeping on a futon like in the den?
He brought a buddy with him, so they're staying at a hotel down the street, because we have we have one of Jackson's friends who's here to hit with us as well, and he's been here for like a week, so he beat him here. So he's got the extra room. But
wow,
Carp was more than welcome to stay on the couch, but he chose the hotel with his buddy that he brought from Dallas. And he's leaving this evening, so it was just a little one night.
I know, but I mean, he's at a Days Inn or a La Quinta now, enjoying a continental breakfast.
It's a nice, clean Hampton Inn, and it's just a couple miles from the house, and he's coming over for coffee, and I'll feed him, and I took him to the basketball game last night. I let him do his coach clap for the Horned Frogs when they made good plays, even though I told him not to. So he's being well taken care of.
Well, I appreciate the time, and please let him do his interview today. If you got to jump in, that's fine. But we do appreciate you coming on, and we'll figure out how to let you know when it's a best of. But thank you for coming on today, because you did make the show worthwhile today.
100%.
Yeah. Congratulations on having a best of. I mean, I'd probably need to go back and listen to that.
It's really good.
It was really good.
Really good. A lot of me.
Is that so you guys had an extra day off, or did you guys just want a long weekend, or how's that work?
See, he wants to stay on. This is what always happens. You try to get him off. I had another Hall of Fame question.
So did I.
But here's the deal, Matt.
I'm trying to be respectful.
Okay, hold on.
I'm just sitting here. I'm not. But Matt, the Carp and his buddy aren't here yet, so I actually was just curious,
Okay, so here's we had a scheduling issue, but then actually. So we already planned the best of, even though Jim drove in, he forgot. He actually
in the ice storm.
He actually did. And that's the thing. It was terrible ice. All the schools were closed. So it worked out anyway, because, my driveway was a frickin' ice skating rink. I think Jim actually did fall down, didn't you?
I didn't fall. I was starting to slide down the incline on my driveway, and I went to all fours to stop myself from sliding into the street. But it was an intentional fall.
Yeah.
And I am scraped up with the knees now. But I came in, I think because I forgot and because I was so excited to show how tough I was that I was going to make it in on the 4-mile drive or 2-mile drive.
So do you have time for one more?
2.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jim, did our old neighbors help you out at all?
Yeah.
Our mutual neighbors?
No, now the neighborhood is great now because we got the bad eggs out of there. And they were vanquished to Cleveland. Now everyone's great. The neighbor actually texted my wife and said, "Hey, did Jim see my husband fall as he was walking to the Uber this morning?" And she said, "No, he almost fell, so he was busy sliding." Apparently, everyone in the neighborhood was taking a spill. Very icy.
You said, obviously, you're proud of doing things the right way. I feel like we ask you about this every year with the Hall of Fame, and I'll ask it in a vague way. What I find odd is with these PED guys or alleged PED guys, I feel like people are now allowing some of them in but not all of them. And to me, I guess if I was a voter, I would just say either none of them get in or they all do if they're deserving. And I see some guys who I'm like, well, why is that person in with the same suspicion and the other guy isn't?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that people that are in the know that there are plenty of guys that are in that did use PEDs, and like you said, there's plenty that are statistically worthy that aren't. So again, I think it just goes back to this sort of vague popularity contest that the Hall of Fame ballot can turn into when you give people that didn't play. And this is I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying that you can't have a good opinion about baseball if you didn't play. I'm just saying that some of these writers that I read, sort of what their reasoning is, and some of these who's voting, and whether they actually know anything about baseball or even write about baseball. I think it's just created this sort of really. I don't know. I just think it needs cleaned up. I think it needs vetted. I think that they need to find the right people that cover baseball that actually watch and actually study the game and actually are willing to dive into the numbers instead of just going off who they think is, from a distance good, or guys that they know, or players that played in their market. And so I think that there is a lot of guys or I don't even men and women that you could deserve a vote that actually put in the effort and know the game, and there's probably plenty that don't pay close enough attention that shouldn't have that honor.
My final question, because we were talking about Todd Helton earlier, and I think some of the reasons, a lot of it probably as to why it took so long for him to get into the Hall of Fame is because I think it was held against him that he spent his whole career in Colorado. As a hitter, when you were in Colorado, how noticeable was it just how differently the ball traveled when you were in Coors Field versus when you were on the road?
Well, it's inarguable that it's a great place to hit, but look, we can go back to the days when they played on AstroTurf when it was like hitting on cement and guys were getting extra hits because the ball absolutely flew through the infield because the old turf was like, a piece of turf that just laid over the top of cement. And so you have all these hitting advantages. What about Yankee Stadium? All the guys that hit homers down the right field line, should those be discounted? Or
Matt Carpenter.
Yeah. I just think that in a game where all the stadiums are different and all the, this isn't basketball or football where the court and the field are the same everywhere you go. There's distinct advantages to hitting at certain places everywhere you go. And so are we going to just somehow go around the league and pick apart balls that have been hit in cheap places? And then at the end of that, we come up with the real numbers of real hits. No, but people love to go, well, it's Colorado, so you take off, that they're not as good other places. And so it's no doubt a great place to hit. But there's also other great places to hit around the league. And so, Todd Helton was a great player on the road. He was a great player at home. He was, one of the greatest players in Coors Field as far as numbers go. Everybody, it's just one of those things. Everybody hits better at home for the most part than they do on the road. It's just the sight lines. It's comfortable. It's your routine. It's all those things. But is it a great place to hit? Sure it is. The outfield's huge. There's lots of doubles and triples to be had. But as far as home runs go, it's not even. I don't think it's the best place to even hit home runs. There's other places that are easier to hit home runs. So I think that we continue to, with Larry Walker getting in and Todd Helton getting in, that we can all agree that, there's other factors in other guys' numbers as well. It's not just, discounting guys that played at Coors Field.
Wow, you handled big boy topics beautifully. Educational, and we appreciate it.
Well done.
But now it's time for you to get the muffins and the fresh Danish out for Matt Carpenter because you're going to have guests soon.
OJ?
Yeah, that wasn't him. That was just the guy that there was a water leak across the street, and he needed to know, make sure it doesn't happen over here. So that was what that was. That wasn't him.
That's like 17 acres away, though. You're fine. Matt, thank you for the time. We'll call you Monday, and hopefully I'll see you later today when you leave Carp alone when I talk to him.
Okay, sounds good. I can't wait.
See ya.
Thank you, sir.
All right, see ya.